Hi everyone, today's video is going to be 7 healthy snack options, from muffins to flapjacks to lollies that I've done this summer. A lot of these are great for weaning as well, so I will let you know what ones are good for when you're weaning your baby. Pollyanna is 18 months old and these are great for her at the moment. They're just something a little bit different than giving her, she loves raisins, so a lot of them involve raisins. A lot of them have a lot of ingredients, but you'll also use these ingredients for a few of the other ones I do, so they won't go to waste. You can use them again for other recipes. You can also swap out options, so if you think your child might not like it, you could swap it with something that you think they will like. I always like to have something on me as a snack, and I find that having flapjacks or muffins, they last a little bit longer and they give your baby that little bit more energy if they need it. And also they enjoy eating them a lot better than just picking maybe raisins out of a tub or out of a pack. So let's get started. I'm gonna talk through with you all of the ingredients I use, the process of making them, and then showing you the final outcome. Tropical banana lollies are great for when your baby is teething, and Pollyanna has loved them this summer. For this one, I used a blender. I added half a ripe banana into the blender and 125 grams of full-fat vanilla yogurt, and then blended it until it was smooth. I then measured out 100 ml of tropical juice. You could use orange juice, and then added this to the blended mix, followed by 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. We didn't do this when we were weaning, but it's something that I've added in this summer. Give that a couple more seconds on the blender, and then you're done. Pour the mix into molds. These ones I got from Nook and they were available on Amazon, so I'll leave a link to those in the description box below. This should make 3 to 4 lollies, but sometimes I get a little bit more out of them, and then place them in the freezer overnight. When your child is ready to have one, simply run the molds under hot water for a couple of seconds and they should pop out. These are great because they contain protein, vitamin C, vitamin D, calcium and fibre. Next are one of Pollyanna's favourites, they're banana muffins. These are suitable from 10 months and they can be frozen. They provide carbohydrates, vitamin C, potassium, iron and fibre. For these you will need 2 small ripe bananas, 55 grams of unsalted butter, 100 grams of caster sugar, 1 egg, half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda, 55 grams of raisins. If you're using these for younger children, chop the raisins up, and 125 grams of plain flour. Preheat your oven to 180 degrees. For this one I am using 8 muffin cases, so line a muffin tray with 8. Unless you want to do mini ones, then line it with 24. For this one I'm going to use my mixer. You don't need a mixer, I've done all of these by hand before. I'm going to start by beating the butter and sugar until it's pale and fluffy. Add the egg, bananas and vanilla and then beat for another mixture. The mixture will look like it's starting to curdle, but don't worry, this is fine. Sift in the flour, add the baking powder and the bicarbonate of soda, then give it a little beat and then stir in the raisins. Divide the mix between the paper cases and then bake for 16 to 18 minutes if you're making larger ones like me, or 12 to 14 minutes if you're making mini ones. Let them cool for about 5 minutes and then place them onto a wire rack so that they can continue to cool. This way they won't go soggy. Keep them in an airtight container and then they're suitable for freezing as well. These ones go down well with everybody, not just Pollyanna. These are oat and raisin cookies. Preheat your oven to 180 and then line 2 trays with some baking paper. Put the butter and sugar in a large mixing bowl and cream together using a whisk until they're light and fluffy. Add the remaining ingredients and mix until combined to form a dough. Roll them into balls and place them on the baking sheet, and then smooth them out using a spatula or a spoon. Put them in the oven for 12 to 15 minutes until they're lightly golden. When you remove them, leave them to cool for a few minutes on the baking sheet, transferring to a wire rack. These can be kept in an airtight container for up to 3 days and can be frozen as well. Next are carrot cake balls. These are more of a treat, but they're in a nice healthy bite-sized snack. For these you'll need 100 grams of pitted date, 40 grams of pecan nuts, 50 grams of sultanas, 50 grams of porridge oats, 40 grams of desiccated coconut and 100 grams of carrots. Chop up the dates and put them in a saucepan over a medium heat with 50 ml of boiling water. Cover these and then cook them for 2 minutes. Put the carrots in a food processor and blitz until they're really roughly chopped. Add in the dates along with the soaking water and all the remaining ingredients. Only add half of the desiccated coconut, leaving the other half aside for rolling. Blitz until all the mixture comes together. Transfer the mixture to a bowl and then shape them into 16 balls. This can be quite difficult at first because it seems really sticky, but I found that the quicker you roll them into balls, the less sticky they become. Adam has just told me a little tip that if I added a little bit of water to my hands, this would have helped with the rolling process, but I didn't know that at the time. Finally, roll those balls into the rest of the desiccated coconut until they're completely covered. Put them into the fridge for at least 30 minutes before eating so that they're nice and firm. Make sure you keep them in an airtight container in the fridge and they'll last up to 5 days. Another favourite in our household, and especially for Adam and Pollyanna, are the cranberry and sultana flapjacks. For these you'll need 100 grams of unsalted butter, 100 grams of golden caster sugar, 80 grams of golden syrup, 125 grams of porridge oats, 30 grams of pecan nuts, finely chopped up, 50 grams of sultana, 20 grams of desiccated coconut, and 50 grams of dried cranberries. Preheat the oven to 160 and then melt the butter and the caster sugar and syrup in a saucepan over a low heat until it's runny. You should remove it from the heat when doing this bit, but I actually forgot. So add in the oats, the chopped pecan nuts, the sultanas, the desiccated coconut, the cranberries, and then mix them all together. For me, this is the simplest recipe of them all because it's so straightforward. Spoon the mixture into a lined tin. I like to use a square one, then level the top and bake for 20 minutes until golden brown. I like to wet a spoon and then use the spoon to push down so it's all level and flat. Put them in the oven, and then when they are ready to come out after 20 minutes, leave them to cool in the baking tray for 10 minutes. Then turn it over and place it to cool fully on a wire rack. Once it is completely cool, then you can cut it. These flapjacks are great for keeping kids energised throughout the day. The dried fruit in these contain fibre and iron. The nuts provide those all-important omega-3s, and the oats help to release energy slowly throughout the day. It's rare for a child to ever turn down a muffin, so these carrot, cheese and tomato muffins are great. For these you'll need 175 grams of self-raising flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 2 eggs beaten, 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, 6 tablespoons of milk, 50 grams of Parmesan cheese grated, 3 spring onions chopped, 75 grams of carrot grated as well, and 8 sun-dried tomatoes. Preheat your oven to 180 and then line a 12-hole muffin tin with 10 paper cases. Mix the flour and baking powder in a large bowl and then add all of the remaining ingredients and stir until it's combined. Spoon the mixture into the muffin cases and bake in the oven for 18 to 20 minutes. When they're ready, remove them from the oven and remove the muffins from the tin straight away and leave them on a wire rack to cool. What's great about these muffins is they can be frozen once they're cool, and they can be stored for up to 2 months. And lastly, we have frittata muffins. These are a great way of substituting different ingredients. For these ones in particular, you could try substituting the ham for dried chicken or crumbled bacon, or even a vegetarian version. For these ones in particular, I have used 3 large eggs, 2 tablespoons of milk, 40 grams of matured cheddar cheese grated, 1 tomato de-seeded and really finely chopped, 3 spring onions finely chopped, 100 grams of cooked cold potatoes diced. I tend to make these on a Monday after we've had a Sunday roast, so I saved some potatoes left over. 2 tablespoons of chopped fresh basil leaves and 2 thick slices of ham diced. Preheat your oven to 180 and start by beating the eggs and milk together in a bowl. Then stir in the rest of the ingredients and then season lightly with salt and pepper if you want to. Make sure you grease your muffin tin hole before spooning the mixture evenly. I normally get about 6 to 12 out of this, and then put them in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes until you can see that they've risen and look golden. To remove them from the tin, make sure they have cooled and then use a palette knife to scrape around the edges and they should pop out.